Ladies and gentlemen, life never promises comfort, it promises change. The winds will not always blow in your favor, and the waves will not always be gentle. But strength is not about the weather, it is about how you sail your ship. Some people wait for the storm to pass, others learn how to dance in the rain, and that is what this journey is about. Learning to stand tall even when the ground shakes beneath you. We have all faced moments that broke us, cracked us, made us feel like the light inside is fading. But that is where real strength is born. Not in the absence of pain, but in rising through it. Becoming strong in any situation means learning to trust the process, even when the process looks like a mess. It means understanding that sometimes life subtracts before it multiplies. You do not have to always smile. You do not have to pretend that everything is okay. Strength is not pretending. It is honesty. It is standing in the middle of chaos and still choosing peace. It is waking up, not because everything is fine, but because you refuse to let your struggle define your story. When you hit rock bottom, do not look for escape. Look for the foundation, because that is where you build. That is where you become something more than you ever imagined. Life will not wait for you to be ready. It will throw the unexpected at you. And you will rise. Not because it is easy, but because you were built for more. There will come a time in your life when everything around you feels like it is falling apart. You will feel the silence louder than noise. You will sit in a room full of people and still feel alone. That is when your heart begins to crack, not because it is weak, but because it has held too much for too long. In that moment you might feel like stopping, like quitting, like giving in. But strength does not come when everything feels light. It comes when you choose to keep walking with a heavy heart. You may have been betrayed, abandoned, or misunderstood. You may have lost something you thought you could never live without. The future might look blurry, and your past might feel like a weight you cannot carry. But if you still wake up in the morning, still choose to take one more breath, still put one foot in front of the other, you are strong already. Strength is not loud. It is not in the applause. It is quiet. It is choosing not to reply when your soul is screaming. It is choosing not to give up when your eyes are tired of crying. It is choosing to keep your heart open when life has given you every reason to shut it down. It is when you say, "Yes, I am hurt, but I will try again tomorrow." Some days moving forward means taking bold steps. Other days it means crawling. Some days it means smiling through the pain. Other days it means just surviving. But no matter how you do it, if you are still moving, you are still growing. You are not a failure for feeling broken. You are human, and humans heal. Not by pretending the wound does not exist, but by slowly letting light in. People may not see your strength. They may not know what it took for you to get out of bed. But that does not make your courage any less real. The world measures success in trophies and titles, but your heart measures strength in breaths you took when it felt impossible. In nights you sat with your pain and still didn't run away. In mornings you chose to live again, when all you wanted was to sleep forever. And one day the same pain that shook you will become the reason someone else stands tall. One day your story will be someone's reason to hope. One day your broken pieces will create a mosaic so beautiful, even you will be surprised. But for that day to come you have to keep walking. Even if all you can do today is take one step, that is where strength begins, with a decision. A quiet, invisible, powerful decision to keep going, even when it hurts. Pain is one of the most misunderstood parts of life. Most people run from it, hide it, numb it, or pretend it does not exist. But pain is not something to escape from. It is something to learn from. It has a strange way of peeling away the layers we thought were essential, just to show us who we really are. And if you allow it, pain can become one of the greatest teachers you will ever have. There are moments in life when pain comes in suddenly, like a storm, a loss, a betrayal, a dream that collapses. In those moments we feel like everything has gone wrong. But pain does not just appear to break you, it appears to shape you, it appears to sharpen your edges, to stretch your endurance, and to build emotional muscles you did not even know existed. The lessons it gives are not written in books, and they do not come with gentle words. They come with rawness. They come with reality. Pain teaches you about people. It shows you who truly cares and who was only there for convenience. When everything is going well, everyone smiles with you. But pain has a way of clearing the room. It reveals the truth. And while that truth may hurt, it frees you. It shows you where to invest your heart and where to stop pouring your soul. Pain teaches you about yourself. You begin to discover parts of your soul that you ignored when life was easy. You learn how strong your mind can be, how brave your heart is, and how resilient your spirit becomes when pushed to the edge. You start to see your weaknesses, not as flaws, but as unfinished parts of a masterpiece still in progress. You begin to trust yourself more, not because you never fall apart, but because you know you can put yourself back together. Pain teaches patience. You learn that healing is not a race. You learn that some answers only come with time, and some wounds must be felt before they can be closed. It shows you the value of silence, the wisdom of slowing down, and the grace in not having it all figured out. And as painful as it is, this waiting season is sacred. It gives you perspective. It allows you to grow without pressure. It allows your heart to catch up with your life. Pain also teaches gratitude. It sounds strange, but when you have walked through darkness, you learn to appreciate light in the smallest ways. A smile feels warmer. A kind word feels deeper. A moment of peace becomes something you do not take for granted. You stop chasing constant happiness and start embracing quiet joy, and that shift changes the way you see everything. Even your dreams change. Pain teaches you which goals were based on ego and which ones were born from purpose. It removes the noise and leaves you with clarity. What matters, what does not, who you are not. It trims your world down to something real, something true, something strong. Pain is a mirror. It shows you your scars, but it also shows you your strength. It reminds you of what you have survived, of the nights you thought would never end, and yet you made it through, of the fears that tried to paralyze you, but failed, of the tears you cried alone that watered the garden of your wisdom. Pain keeps a record of your bravery, and every time you rise again, it adds a new page to your story. Most of all, pain teaches compassion. It makes you softer, gentler. It breaks your pride and opens your heart. When you have suffered, you begin to see others differently. You listen more. You judge less. You hold space for people's wounds because you remember your own. Every situation in life is carrying a message. Sometimes it is wrapped in joy, other times in sorrow. But the lesson is always there, waiting to be discovered by the one who listens. The problem is, we often rush through pain, eager to escape, desperate to fix, unwilling to feel. In doing so, we miss the wisdom buried inside our discomfort. The truth is, every experience, good or bad, has something to teach. But it only reveals itself to those who slow down and truly pay attention. Listening to the lesson does not mean overthinking every detail. It means observing your reactions, noticing your thoughts, and being honest about your patterns. When something hurts you deeply, ask yourself why. Is it a wound you have not healed? Is it a boundary you keep ignoring? Is it a truth you have not wanted to face? Life speaks in subtle ways, and it is often through the emotions we want to suppress that the most important lessons whisper. Sometimes the lesson is about letting go. We hold on to people, dreams, or expectations that no longer serve us, simply because they once made us feel safe. But not everything you lose is a loss. Sometimes what breaks your heart is saving your soul. Sometimes the thing that leaves is clearing space for what is meant to come. Letting go is not a failure. It is a decision to trust that what is behind you does not define what is ahead. Sometimes the lesson is about self-worth. When you are treated poorly, it is not always about the other person. It is often about the places inside you that believe you deserve it. Life will keep sending you the same kind of situations until you learn how to rise, how to say no, how to demand better. The patterns will keep repeating until you change the way you see yourself. That is not cruelty. That is grace in disguise. Sometimes the lesson is patience. You plant a seed and want it to bloom overnight. But growth is silent. It happens in the dark, beneath the surface. You do not see it, but it is there. A delayed dream is not a denied one. You are not behind. You are not late. Life is preparing you, shaping you, aligning things in ways you cannot yet see. The waiting is not empty. It is the very soil of transformation. Listening to the lesson also means taking responsibility. Not everything is your fault, but your healing is always your responsibility. Blaming others keeps you stuck. Owning your part, even the smallest part, gives you your power back. It shifts you from victim to creator. And once you realize that your choices matter, you stop waiting for life to change and start changing your life. Every situation is a mirror. It reflects who you are, what you believe, and where you still need to grow. If you are always offended, maybe it is not about the world. It is about your need for validation. If you are always disappointed, maybe it is about your expectations, not reality. These are hard truths, but they are the ones that lead to freedom. The lesson is never to punish you. It is to awaken you, to help you see clearer, love deeper, choose wiser. But to hear it, you must be quiet inside. You must let go of the noise, the ego, the need to always be right. You must become humble enough to admit that you do not know everything, and strong enough to keep learning anyway. Life is a classroom with no final graduation. Every day brings a new lesson, and even your mistakes are part of the curriculum. What you call failure may be the first step towards something far better. What you call loss may be the beginning of a life more honest, more aligned, more yours. The question is never just why did this happen? The real question is what is this trying to teach me? Hope is not loud. It does not crash through the room or demand attention. It often starts as a whisper buried beneath the weight of pain, loss, or confusion. And yet, it is the one thing that keeps people standing when everything else falls apart. The strongest people are not the ones who never feel pain, but the ones who choose to believe again and again that something better is still possible. They do not wear capes. They carry invisible wounds. But through it all, they protect something fragile and fierce within them. Hope. Life will try to steal that hope. It will come disguised as disappointment, failure, heartbreak. You will pour yourself into something, and it might fall apart. You will trust someone, and they might leave. You will give your best, and it still might not be enough. In those moments, hope does not scream. It barely speaks. But it stays. It waits in the background for the moment you are ready to try again. Hope does not guarantee that things will be easy. It does not promise that life will unfold the way you imagined. What it does offer is the belief that even when the path is unclear, you are still moving towards something that matters, that the pain will not last forever, that the silence will not always feel so loud, that there is something waiting for you on the other side that you cannot yet see. Choosing hope is an act of rebellion in a world that often celebrates cynicism. It takes strength to wake up every day with the intention to try, especially when nothing around you has changed. It takes courage to keep your heart open when it has been broken more times than you can count. To still love, to still believe, to still show up. That kind of strength is quiet but unshakable. There are people who laugh at hope, who say it is unrealistic or naive. But those people have forgotten what it feels like to rise from something they thought would destroy them. They have forgotten that hope is not a fantasy. It is fuel. It is what carried you through nights you thought you would not survive. It is what helped you breathe through tears. It is what reminded you, even in the smallest ways, that you are not done yet. Hope looks different for everyone. For some, it is the first breath after a panic attack. For others, it is the decision to keep showing up to therapy. Sometimes it is applying for another job or picking up the phone you were too scared to dial. It is not always dramatic. Sometimes it is just getting out of bed, washing your face, opening the window, letting light in even when your world feels dark. And hope is not a straight line. It will waver. Some days you will believe in it completely. Other days you will question everything. That is normal. The strength is not in always having hope. It is in choosing it over and over again, even when it feels like a risk. Even when it feels like you have every reason not to. The strongest people are not the ones who have never been broken. They are the ones who refuse to let their brokenness turn them bitter. They are the ones who choose to keep going when giving up would be easier. Who look at life and say, I do not know what is next, but I will not give up here. They may cry, they may fall, but somewhere deep inside there is a flicker that refuses to die. That flicker is hope. Hope is not a guarantee, but it is a light, a direction, a reason. It tells you that your story is not over, that healing is still possible, that joy can still surprise you, that love is still worth giving, and that no matter how many times you fall, you always have the strength to rise again. Most people spend their lives waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect plan, the perfect version of themselves before they begin. They think strength is found in knowing everything beforehand, in having a strategy so flawless that nothing can go wrong. But the truth is, life rarely works that way. Strength does not grow in perfection. It grows in motion. It grows when you choose to act, even while afraid, even while unsure. Courage is not something you wait for. It is something you practice again and again through small, daily choices. There will always be a reason to hesitate. The fear of judgment, the possibility of failure, the weight of your own expectations, they will all show up the moment you decide to move forward. But that is exactly where courage begins. Not when you feel ready, but when you take the first step despite the noise in your head. That first shaky, uncertain step is often more powerful than 100 perfect ideas never acted upon. You do not need a perfect plan. You need a beginning, a spark, a decision. When you overplan, you get stuck in the loop of what ifs. What if I fail? What if people laugh? What if it does not work? But if you keep waiting for all the doubts to disappear, you may never begin at all. Fear rarely goes away, but courage teaches you how to move alongside it, how to stop letting it sit in the driver's seat. Consistency is what turns courage into strength. It is not the size of your step that matters. It is that you keep showing up, even when progress is slow, even when nobody claps, even when everything feels like it is falling apart. Every single time you choose to continue, You are building something inside you that cannot be taken away. Your persistence becomes your power. And sometimes, that courage looks like starting over, rebuilding after a failure, admitting when something is not working and having the bravery to try again. It is not always glamorous. It does not always feel strong. But true strength is often disguised in humility, in the ability to look at yourself honestly and still move forward, even when your pride feels bruised. You may meet people who doubt you. You may even doubt yourself. But the only thing that matters is that quiet voice inside you that keeps saying, try again. You do not have to shout your dreams. You do not have to convince anyone. Just keep walking. Keep doing the next right thing. Keep trusting that the path will become clearer as you move. Courage also means giving yourself permission to be messy, to not have all the answers, to make mistakes and learn from them. Life is not a performance. You are not here to impress the world. You are here to grow, to stretch, to become. And growth is never neat. It comes with detours, with failures, with chapters you wish you could skip. But all of it matters. All of it counts. You do not have to be fearless to be brave. You just have to be willing to take the first step. Willing to face discomfort, willing to look foolish, willing to trust that even if it does not go as planned, you will find your way. This kind of courage does not shout, it whispers. It does not show off, it endures. No matter how small the action, when it comes from a place of inner strength and purpose, it shifts things. It creates movement. It invites momentum. One day you will look back and realize that the very moment you felt least prepared was the moment your transformation began. Not because everything was certain, but because you dared to begin anyway. Sometimes we think strength is found in pushing through, in constantly fighting, in never backing down. We believe that resisting every challenge and controlling every outcome is what makes us powerful. But real strength is often quiet, still, and deeply rooted in acceptance. Not giving up, not giving in, but choosing to stop fighting the things that cannot be changed. There is a kind of peace that comes when you stop struggling against life and start flowing with it. Acceptance does not mean you agree with everything that has happened. It means you stop letting it control you. It means looking at your pain, your past, your disappointments, and instead of trying to erase them, you learn to hold them gently. You understand that they are part of your journey, not the whole story. You begin to release the weight of all the things you thought should have gone differently. And in that release, you create space. Space to heal, space to breathe, space to move forward. It takes courage to accept what is, especially when what is feels heavy or unfair. When you are holding grief or confusion or loneliness, acceptance feels like surrender. But it is not defeat. It is wisdom. It is knowing that some things cannot be fixed, but they can be faced. And when you face something without resistance, without denial, you open the door to growth. You begin to see that maybe life is not working against you, it is working through you. Acceptance teaches you to stop wishing for a different version of yourself, to stop chasing some perfect future where you have it all together. Instead, you begin to meet yourself where you are, with kindness, with gentleness. You stop blaming yourself for the things you did not know back then. You stop punishing yourself for needing time, for needing healing, for being human. And in that softness, you find strength that is not built on force but on grace. When you resist reality, you create more pain. You spend your energy trying to rewrite the past or predict the future. But when you accept what is here, now you free yourself. You stop living in imaginary worlds and begin living in this one with all its mess and magic. And even in the hard moments, you begin to notice the quiet beauty of being alive, the way light falls on your skin, the way your breath returns again and again, the way time moves forward, even when you feel stuck. Acceptance is not a one-time decision. It is a practice, a choice you make every day. To stop arguing with the moment, to stop needing answers right now, to trust that things unfold in their own time, in their own way. It does not mean you lose your ambition or your hope. It means you carry them differently, not with desperation, but with peace, not with pressure, but with trust. You learn to accept other people too, not just their good parts, but their flaws, their fears, their differences. You stop trying to change them. You start listening more, judging less. Relationships begin to feel lighter, not because people are perfect, but because you stop expecting them to be. You let people be human, just like you. And in accepting others, you learn to forgive, not because they always deserve it, but because you deserve to be free. Holding on to resentment is like carrying a burning coal in your hand. Acceptance is dropping it, not forgetting, but no longer letting it burn you. The strongest people are not the ones who fight every battle. They are the ones who know which battles are worth their energy and which ones are better left behind. They are not always loud, but they are grounded. They are not always certain, but they are present. They may not control the storm, but they have learned how to stand in the rain without losing themselves. There comes a moment in everyone's life when everything feels like it is falling apart. The plans you made no longer make sense. The people you trusted walk away. The dreams you chased feel distant and unreachable. In that moment, it is easy to believe that this is the end, that you are too broken to ever become whole again. But those are the very moments where your greatest transformation begins. Not in the comfort, not in the applause, but in the pain, in the confusion, in the silence, where you are forced to meet yourself again. Weakness does not mean you have failed, it means you are human. You are allowed to collapse. You are allowed to cry. You are allowed to not know what to do next. But what makes you strong is what happens after that. It is the decision to rise, to take a breath, to try again. Strength is not about never falling. It is about rising every single time you do, with a heart that still believes there is something worth moving toward. When you are at your lowest, you start to see things differently. You stop pretending. You stop performing. You drop all the masks, all the noise, and you meet your raw, unfiltered self. It is scary, but it is honest, and that honesty becomes your foundation. You begin to understand that strength is not about being unshaken. It is about learning how to rebuild with hands that are still trembling. Pain makes you sensitive to truth. When you are broken, you notice things you never noticed before. The way people speak, the way silence feels, the way time moves slowly in sadness. And somewhere in all that awareness, you begin to find pieces of yourself you had forgotten. The strength to keep going, even when your heart is heavy. The courage to dream again, even when everything tells you not to. The will to show up, even when you feel invisible. Transformation in your weakest moment does not always look like something beautiful. It looks like survival. It looks like late nights talking to yourself, asking why. It looks like waking up with swollen eyes, but still making your bed. It looks like doing one small thing to pull yourself forward. No one claps for you in those moments, but that is where the change happens. In the quiet, in the ordinary, in the decision to not stay broken, you begin to build a different kind of strength. One that does not rely on validation. One that does not seek constant control. One that knows how to hold space for both joy and sadness. You realize you can carry grief in one hand and gratitude in the other. You learn that your softness is not a weakness. It is your strength wearing a different face. Transformation does not mean you become someone new. It means you remember who you are. Underneath the layers life placed on you, you reconnect with your essence. You rebuild not to impress anyone, but to honor the battles you have fought. You learn how to live gently with yourself, how to speak kindly to the mirror, how to offer your heart grace instead of judgment. Sometimes your lowest moment is also the doorway to your most honest self. The version of you that does not need to pretend. The version of you that understands others better, that loves deeper, that lives with more purpose. That version was always inside you. The breaking just revealed it. The world tells you that strength looks like being tough, being perfect, being fearless. But your life teaches you otherwise. Strength looks like healing slowly, loving bravely, showing up imperfectly. It looks like choosing hope, even when it feels like a lie. It looks like staying when you want to run. And it begins in the moment you decide that even in your weakness, you are still worthy of rising. There is a certain illusion we all carry, that life should be smooth, predictable, and safe. But the truth is, storms are part of the journey, and the goal is not to avoid the storm, but to learn how to walk through it without losing your soul. When you accept that storms will come, your question changes from why me to how can I grow through this? That is where strength is forged, not when skies are clear, but when everything is dark, and yet you choose to take one step after another. The storm teaches you things peace never could. It strips away distractions. It makes you focus. It makes you dig deep. You cannot fake strength when you are in the middle of chaos. The pain, the uncertainty, the pressure, none of that can be masked with a smile. But that is where real growth lives. It is not about appearing strong to others. It is about becoming strong from within. When the storm begins, most people panic. They try to run from it. They wish for shortcuts, for exits, for escapes. But those who become unshakable are the ones who pause, breathe, and say, I will face this head on. Walking through the storm means accepting your fear and still choosing to move. It means letting the wind hit your face and not turning back. It means being okay with not knowing what comes next and still trusting yourself enough to keep going. The storm changes you. It may mess up your plans, but it also reveals your purpose. It may take things from you, but it leaves behind courage. You find parts of yourself in the storm you did not know existed. Maybe it humbles you. Maybe it softens you. Maybe it breaks your heart in a way that makes you more real. And even though you would never wish for the pain, you start to realize that the version of you on the other side is someone you are proud of. Every step through the storm is a victory. Even the days you cried, even the days you doubted, even the moments you felt like giving up, they count. Because you did not stop. You did not let the storm define your ending. And that in itself is strength. You are not weak for feeling broken. You are strong because you kept choosing life when everything inside you wanted to shut down. There will be people who do not understand what you went through. That is okay. The storm was meant for you. It was meant to teach you, to mold you, to awaken you. It was meant to remove the things you no longer needed and show you what really matters. And what really matters is not perfection, success, or having it all together. What matters is resilience. What matters is finding your way back to hope again and again. No matter how many times life knocks it out of your hands. Walking through the storm does not mean you never fall. It means when you do, you get back up. Even if it takes time. It means you wipe the tears, straighten your back, and keep going. It means you trust that on the other side of this darkness, there is something worth finding. something that would not exist if you had stayed comfortable, if you had turned around. The storm is not a punishment. It is a passage. It is not trying to destroy you. It is trying to transform you. It is building a strength in you that cannot be shaken by circumstances or people. And once you have walked through a few storms, you start to realize you are not just surviving anymore. You are becoming someone who can walk through fire and come out stronger. Someone who can face the wind and still move forward. Someone who no longer fears the storm, because now you understand its purpose.
Lassati mi scinni mele tu, un sul cascuria trairà. Mi dissi vieni con mia stasera, una sera che pari a magia, una cantina che durava mustu, lu cori mio, gli incidetti tutto. Gira chiagnina lenta e sorda, e giro frasso che canta ancora, che non è vino rosso come fuoco, ambiviu frasso, scordavo loco, manichini, dove speranza, da sta terra tutto danza. Prega Maria che pazzo millico, mi persi su dai panni rossi, in c'era una croce fatta d'olivi, mi dai sopra senza scusa. Prega Maria, non saccio più, se era morio era tabù. Ammuzzo tutto frasso, scioglieva cori come passo. Tu c'era notte in vento, con una luna appesa senza pentimento. Una voce mi chiamava tu funno, scendi ancora un perdi sto mondo. Da cantina il tempo si ferma, ogni goccia è storia eterna. Cutti a me lato, cutti a me cori, sti stidi cacciato non mori. Scuro fora, ma luci dentro, a voci to, sempre mi senta. Prega Maria che pazzo millico, mi persi su dai panni rossi, in c'era una croce fatta d'olivi, mi dai sopra senza scusa. Prega Maria, non saccio più, se era morio era tabù. Lassati mi scigno mele tu, ogni volta, ogni giornata, a ti attorno in ta cantina, con vino speranza e una picca rovina.